We'll get started. We're just going to do a quick chazara, 2-minute chazara. Chavav and Beis. I hope the chazara has been stronger. That's the right word. Stronger. Ever growing. I think we have to add on, the Dvarim Sha'imid Barumah Shal Olam. That which is difficult to please Abyssal. Shkoyach. I think chazara has to be one of them. Shkoyach. Perfect. Thank you so much. God bless you. Beis Avtinas, Beis Anitza. So yesterday we learned on the top of Chavav and Beis. We started with a Shaila. Yibayiluhu, Rabbi Cooper, Erev Tov. I'm sorry, I didn't say hello. Yibayilu aliyah ismamish havu adomo davi gevihi migve ka'aliyah is a fundamental Shaila that these two areas, which were they raised with something underneath it, or were they raised with nothing underneath it? Tashema says the Gemara the Tanat. Shebet Safa in Sharanitzas Kiminach Sadra Haya, and it says clearly V'aliyah Benuya Al Gaba. That what? So we see clearly it's a two-floored structure. Period. So that's the raya. That what type of structure was it? Two-floored, people on top, people on bottom. Once we're on the topic of Kahanim on the top and Levim on the bottom, says the Gemara Minan, immediately from where do we know this din that the Kahanim and Levim guarded together? Did Tana Rabbanon, we learned 8 lines down. The first one line is the Tana Rabbanon. Pasuk talks about Kohanim Levim. You're telling me it's talking about their avodah that they did together, or perhaps the avodah of the Kohanim. That's what their avodah. Amani Makayim, the first pasuk we love Olech v'Sharsucha, B'avodascha Kasim Daber. How do the Leviim help the Kehanim in their avodah? If we know that, of course, a Levi cannot do the avodah of the Kehanim. Or Keitzad, Rav Shragi Erev Tov, Kehanim Shaimrim Mil Mala, Uleviim Mil Mata. And we continue smack in middle of the Gemara Chavav Amid Beis. The 2 dots, and I hope everyone's realizing we're a week in, we're almost a blot and a chunk in. So if we keep the chazara up, then we'll have a Mesechtah in our back pocket. Really, the impetus for me learning Tamid was I don't know if you all were at the Kinyan Mesechtah to see him, but they said over a story, Rabbi Levitan said over a story that he flew back from Florida, and one of his balabatim were on the plane, and he spent the flight from Florida, which is not such a long flight. Oh, Erev Tov. He spent the flight from Florida flying with his son, and father and son throughout the flight learned the entire Tamid, which on one hand you think, wow, that's crazy, it's a blot, but as you're going to see, Mirz Hashem, it could be the Mesechtah you have in your back pocket. You need to make a siyum in the 9 days. You need to make a siyum Erev Yontif. If you book through not 8 blot, it'll be beautiful. Mirz Hashem, it's one of those Mesechtahs you can even get Shakta V'Tarya Klar. So let's keep the Chazara going. So Beis HaMaikad keep a new Gemara. Here we go. Chavav and Beis. The 2 dots, smack in middle of the Amid. We spoke about the Beis HaMaikad, which had a kippah, it had a dome. Ubayi is a gadol haya, and it was a large room. Asks the Gemara, v'chad, where does that olive take me? Shimur hu dahavelu, and there was one guard. Chad shimur hu dahavi, bebeis ha'maikad. Meaning, that's what the Mishnah sounds like. There are 3 places the Kehanim watch. Beis HaMaikad, Beis HaNitzas, Beis HaTinas, thank you. Brain turned off for a moment, I appreciate it. In the Beis HaMaikad, it sounds like there's one guard watching. Says the Gemara, Vremini, I'll ask you a stira. He wasn't shutting it that you only get if you come on time. He's just trying to keep it warm. Vremini, you have to be nice. Vremini, Shnei Sha'arim. Asks the Gemara, there were 2 gates, are you Beis HaMaikad? In the Beis HaMaikad. Echad Pasuach L'chel, ve'echad Pasuach La'azara. So the Beis HaMaikad, which we know, and we're working on getting a big picture, but here's the Beis HaMaikad. By the time we get it, we'll have it all down pat. But either way, here's the Beis HaMaikad down here. So there's 2 sides of the Beis HaMaikad. One side's open there, and one side is open the other way. I'm not sure what Gemara is talking about. Let's see weiter. 1 second. Amar Rav Yehuda. Yeah. So far, so good. Yeah. 1 in and 1 out. Good. Amar Rav Yehuda. In the side that opens up into the Azara. Again. Yeah.
The Shara Nitzos was on the same side?
Yes.
Both north.
This is Shara Nitzos, yes. Shara Nitzos, base of Maikad, and base of Tinas is up here. One up on top, two down at the bottom, and as we're going to see, there were Levium stationed throughout. But we're now focusing down here on the base of Maikad. In this base of Maikad, we just said there's a door on the bottom and a door on the top. So far, so good. Va'omer Rav Yehuda, this is the detail. Bizeh, in this door, shenechnasim le'azara, that opened up into the Azara, which in our picture is the top door, the top of this square. We'll get a better picture in a moment. Pishpeish katan hayulai. Pishpeish is a katan, a small door. There was a small door on that side. Pishpeish katan hayulai. There was a small door on that side. Sheboy, that through it, Nechnasin, they entered Livloish Ha'azara. That through, I apologize, that through this small door, says the Gemara, that through this small door, they went in Livloish. That's a good word. Biloish means, it's a word that there's no reason why you should know. What? No, not bad. Do you know? Bilosh Azara, you've written down? No. Inspect, very good. It's okay, you can't have written down. I've written down all my Gemaras also. This one I don't. Live Laish, to inspect. We're going to see that the Kehanim every morning would come in and they would go around in a circle inspecting, making sure everything is where it's supposed to be. So there was a second door that they went through to inspect the Azara. So what is the kasha, which over here, open up. Oh, I didn't put page numbers. Oh, so stupid. Apologies. Open up to this picture over here. On top of the Mizbeach, over here, this is going to be the Gemara and Daf Chav Ches that we're going to get to. But you see in this picture, you see the Beis HaMaikad, and you see coming out of the Beis HaMaikad, yeah, you have the picture. You see coming out of the Beis HaMaikad, you see two lines, Kat Aleph, Kat Beis. Those are the two groups of Kehanim on the top over here. Over here, here's the Beis HaMaikad. Those two lines coming out are each group of Kehanim that came out, and then one went right and one went left to inspect the Beis HaMikdash. What? Who groups is a very good question. When we get to the Gemara, we'll have to see if we have an answer to that question.
All the Kehanim, or just two?
We're going to get there. Good. And Daf Chav Ches, we're going to get to that. But for right now, what do we see? We said the Beis HaMaikad has how many doors on that side? 2. So says the Gemara, back into the Gemara. Nachamov Amar Rav Yehuda b'zeh shenichnasin Azara. Pishmish katan hayolay shabay nichnasin. That's where they entered. Liv loisha Azara, to inspect the Azara. So what's the kasha? Why is there only one watchman? If we have 2 doors, should be 2 watchmen. So what could someone suggest an answer?
Door in a door, then it's all.
No, it's not a door in a door. It's 2 doors next door to each other. So, oh yeah, you can watch both. Very good. Amar Abaye, as everyone just said, Kivon, since the Gabe Hadadi have Kaime, they were next to each other. Sagi leho, it suffices. Bechad shoimer, with one watchman. Davi lahacha, v'davi lahacha. He could look over here and he could look over there. If I have one door, well, I'm just thinking about where do we have such a thing? Well, let's say right here. This is a good example. Let's say these 2 garage gates. Let's say these were 2 doors over here. So if you were standing in this door, it'd be a little bit silly to have another watchman 6 feet over. You have one guy, and he sits and he looks through both. Says the Gemara, that is why. Oh, so it is interesting. Good. There's 2 questions you could ask. One question.
How many inspectors were there?
No, we're going to see. It's a whole parade. We're going to see. There's 1 million people. Good. So the answer is going to open up another question. The answer is, l'chayra, as we spoke of when we learned the Mishnah, what are these watchmen really doing? They're not really doing anything. They're not there to frisk down, making sure you don't sneak any paraphernalia into the Beis HaMikdash. Exactly. It's a kibbud. So then, what's the question? So then, Manashach, what was the Havamina? What was the Maskana? Yeah. Oh, exactly. So if you have 2 doors, then the covenant is to have 2 watchmen. So it sounds like there's a very interesting, and l'chayra, this has to do with, all around Hagais, Klape, Shemayim, that, and as much as it's a kavod, we want to make it like realistic. And as much as it's realistic, it's like you don't need too much. That's seemingly the balance over here. So we have two doors next door to each other, and therefore you have one. Watch, man. Let's go one more shtickle Gemara. Mukaf Roivdin Shal Evan. So in the Beis HaMikdash, in this large room, it was surrounded with Roivdin, rows, shell, Evan, of stones. Stadium style seating, which was not for seating, but sleeping. Very good. Says the Gemara, Roivdin, my nihu. What is the word Roivdin? Well, what exactly does that mean? Gezerta deitzta basa. They were pieces of stones. Tisalki bohu litzta basa. That had another row of stones. One row of stones on top of another row of stones. So explains the Gemara, what does roivdin mean? It means a row with another row with another row. We'll call it stadium style. Ask the Gemara a fundamental shaila which deals with all Beis HaMikdash. Omi have a mifligi avanim. How would you make stadium style? So the Gemara assumes the bottom is this big, the next row is this big, the next row is this big, next row is this big. So you start with stones this large, you cut them in half for the next row, you cut them in half for the next row. Very simple. Ask the Gemara 1 second. How do you cut a stone in the Beis HaMikdash? Omi have a mifligi avanim. Are you allowed to cut stones? V'aksiv. But the pasuk says, "V'habayis v'avnosei even shleima." The stones must be complete.
Big stones they carve out.
No, but then it's not complete. It's not complete. How is it called complete? No, let's hear another teres. Baruch atah Adonai. Eloheinu melech haolam she'akol nihiyeh b'dvaroi. Anyone?
You're not chopping it into two. It's one piece that you chisel out.
Mm-hmm.
They did by the Menorah. It's one piece that they.
No, anyone else think? Anyone else?
Doesn't the pasuk say that they brought in two sizes?
Good. So what you're suggesting is that it depends where you chisel it. Good. Amar Abaye, the misakni, they would fix it, they would cut it outside the Beis HaMikdash. Umaisi meikara, and then they would bring it in. Avnei zutrasa, small stones. Va'avnei ravivasa, kedir siv, as the pasuk in Malachim says. I'm sorry. Yes, one more time. Amar Abaye, dimitakni, they would fix. Umaisi, and they would bring meikara originally. Avnei zutrasa, zutar is small. Avnei zutrasa, small stones. Ve'avnei ravrivasa, and large stones. Evan is stone, ravasa is large, and large stones. Kedichsiv, like the pasuk says, avnei eser amos. There were some stones that are 10 amos. Ve'avnei shmoina amos. And there were some stones which were 8 amos, meaning you only weren't allowed to cut them in the Beis HaMikdash. Outside the Beis HaMikdash, you could cut them, and then you could bring them in, and it's called an Even Shalema. Does this bother anyone? Is anything bothered? Does anyone know how do they cut stones? What were we brought up? No one has any nostalgic images of a little worm, the shamir. So what's going on over here? No one? No? Sorry, Kogus? I guess it's an age gap. I don't know. I was brought up that there's this little worm a Shlomo Melech had called the Shamir, and that's how they cut the stones in the Beis HaMikdash. So the Grad, the Mefarshim, come along and they wonder over here what's going on, because we know that the Midrashim talk about, the Psukim talk about it, but okay, that is the story. One last kasha, because the next Gemara, I think, is let's see. So often we say it's like a riot that, to that evil Rebbe when someone asks a question and he says you're not allowed to ask such a question. Says the Gemara, Zikne Beis Av Yisheinim Sham. The elder Kehanim would sleep there on what? On these benches. Frak the Gemara, Vamai Laili Mitais. Why don't you bring in a bed? I can envision, that kid calling out for the back of the cheder. What? They're sleeping on the floor. Why don't they bring in the bed? The Rebbe says, oh, you're not allowed to ask such a question. But you clearly are allowed to ask such a question. That was the point. Exactly. The Gemara asked the kasha. What does the Gemara answer? Amar Abaye. Oh, you're saying you're worried about the kids? Yeah, okay, that's we're gonna actually see the kids have better sleeping accommodations, but yeah. So why they only ask about the elderly ones? Okay, says the Gemara, Amar Abaye, Lav oyrech ara. It's inappropriate. Alayli mitais lebeis hamigdash to bring a bed into lebeis hamigdash, and therefore they didn't. That's why they had to sleep on the floor, etc. It happens to be, just to mention, there is a discussion how they slept in the Beis HaMikdash. You're allowed to sleep in the Beis HaMikdash? Sounds a little bit weird.
Out of the wall.
So there's different shatim. The easy, no, they slept overnight.
It's outside the wall.
Slept overnight. So the easiest shot, which is a big machlokes, but Areli is pointing out, is if you look at the picture, which unfortunately didn't make it in, but the Beis HaMikdash you'll see is a mamish on the wall. It's mamish on the wall, and if you see there's a dotted line over there, that dotted line is showing you that half of it has kedusha. Oh, actually, over here you can see also. Well, I don't know. I'm not sure if it's showing the same thing. Over yours you can see better. Yeah, over here. Thank you. Whoa, don't have to kill you more. Here you can see a little better. Over here, this is the Beis HaMikdash. You see how it's half in the walls and half out of the walls. Big machlokes. That's one teretz. Yeah, they slept overnight. This is where they slept. No. This is where they slept, awaiting the next day's avodah. Well, it was 1 week a year. Again, they split up all the Kohanim into 24 groups. 24 groups on a rotating circle. There's more than 24 weeks in the year. Every week you have your group. So it's a week out of the year that you served, or a week and a half if you do the math. Well, actually 2 weeks, excuse me. It's 54 weeks. And you slept there, and then etc. Okay, we're going to stop over here to make time for Chazara. I would like before we move on to Chazara, over Shabbos, we really should try to chazer this blot and a half. God willing, Rabavi, you'll remind me. I'm going to send out a quick voice note. We could probably do the whole thing in, I don't know, 7-8 minutes. But just to realize that really this blot and a half, it's on this page over here. I broke it down into 9 points. 9 points, the whole thing. I'm just going to read it outside, and then we'll have time to read it inside. Just what? Please, they're for everyone. Please take one, take a big one, take a small one. Yeah, look at guy. Everyone here, open up. I just want to show you what I did over here. This is not a public whatever. I wrote all this. I wrote the English half. But look at the English for a second. If you don't know, then just put a hardcover. Look at the English for a second, everyone. I just want to show you what I did over here. What I tried to do is I tried to break down the Gemara into small bites and then explain it, so that if you want to remember it, you could go over here, Chafayim and Beis, and you see there's 2 points. Point 1 is the 3 places to guard the Beis HaMikdash. Point 2 is the sleeping arrangements. What are the 3 places? Then we explain it further, which is Beis Havtinas, Beis Hanitzis, Beis HaMikdash, with a little bit about them. What are the sleeping arrangements? Elders on the benches, young Kohanim on the floor. That's the whole Chafayim and Beis. Now we move over to Chavavam and Aleph. There's 3 points. What are the 3 points of Chavavam and Aleph? Number 1 is the Kohen becoming a Baal Keri. Number 2 is the lottery for the Chumas Hadashin, the removal of the ashes. And number 3 is the 2 sources for the Makar of the Kohanim guarding the Beis HaMikdash. So now if you can remember those 3 pieces, what were they? Now we elaborate further. The Kohanim becoming a Baal Keri. Okay, let's speak it out. We all know the story. He went through the tunnels with the fire and the bathroom and the fire, and he goes in and he dries himself off in the bathroom of Kavod, and he comes back in and he waits till the morning and then he goes home. Great. Point number 2 is the lottery. What's the lottery? The guy comes in. Whoever wanted to do it had to wake up early, go to the mikvah. He comes. When does he come? When does he come? He comes either before the risk scores or after the risk scores. He comes in. Whoever was involved, okay, come for the lottery. Point number 3 is the 2 Mekairas for the 3 places the Kohanim guard. The first Makar, we said, is a little bit difficult. We can just remember Moshe, Kama, Aaron, Upanov. Makar number 1. Makar number 2 is Shaimrim, Mishmeres, Lemishmeres. That's the entirety of Chavavam and Aleph. We flip over here, and Chavavam and Beis, which is the Amma we just saw, has a few more points. I broke it up here to 4 points. The 4 points is number 1, what are the aliyos? Were they really aliyos with something underneath it? Or were they just tops? And we answered that what? They were aliyos with someone underneath it. Kohanim on top, Levium on the bottom. Number 2 is the Makar. Kohanim and Levium guarding together. Yalavu, those 2 psukim. Number 3 is the Beis HaMikdash had 2 doors. Why don't they have 1 watchman? It's a little bit of a, its own little question. I don't know why it got its own bullet. Actually, that's why it's 2. Very good. Apparently a Freudian slip over there. Thank you. Number 3 is, what's going on? How do they get the stones inside? Answers the Gemara, they cut them outside. And number 4 is really the next Gemara that we didn't see at all. So really, it's about 9 points, this entire blot and a half. So hopefully over Shabbos, let's, number one, try to read it together inside. We'll start right now. We have 2 minutes. And number two, let's try to get the Shakla Vitaria B'Siyat Shema. And hopefully next week we'll have Gemara.